What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Hopefully you had a good weekend overall. Had some fun here. Did our weekly podcast with the Spawncast. Had a lot of fun on that. Did a Newswave weekend review, and then also talked about possibilities of Dreamcast and Sega Saturn games coming to the Sega Ages brand that they're now making for the Nintendo Switch. Now, we didn't have a tech wave because I had some impromptu surgery on my finger, as I told you guys about on Newswave weekend review. So if you missed that, yeah, I wasn't able to do that because it turns out you actually need this index finger more than you'd think when you're taking apart systems, and I had a pretty good one lined up, but we'll get back to that this weekend coming up. So probably on Sunday we'll have a new tech wave. I have a pretty fun one lined up, so I think we're gonna have a good time with that. Now we have quite a few things to get into today. I want to take a look at the Nintendo patent that started making the rounds over the weekend. I had a lot of people talking because it almost looks like the next evolution for what Nintendo could do if they wanted to do the next step to like a 3DS or maybe just a line of little systems. It's a cool technology that they seem to be pursuing. And then we also have to look at Game Pass because one seemed to pop up on Microsoft's Twitter that got people excited, and to me it makes a ton of sense, and I hope they do it. And then, of course, well, you know, Sega AT games and all of that. And then more Pokemon news, because why not? Let's get into it. So over the weekend, Digital Trends seemed to spot a patent that Nintendo had made public after filing. And it is a fascinating patent. It's pretty cool to see this kind of thinking. I've always told you guys, or at least joked about it, how Nintendo's back R&D room or their department seems like a Willy Wonka's factory back there, because it's just some of the stuff they come up with is just zany and out there, but it's fun and creative, so we always want to see what comes out of it. Here's the patent. You're going to see several slides here. It was first recognized by Digital Trends, like I said. And what's fascinating about these is it appears to be sets of screens that can work independently, but that can also process information between each other. One of the quotes actually taken from the patent says a plurality of information processing apparatuses that are capable of communicating with each other. And there are a ton of them where a finger is dragging different elements between them. You see like a banana going between the two of them, kind of sharing that information. You see a bowling ball rolling down and then crashing into pins on the other one. And this is amazing because this could be, I say could be because patents will be filed at times and then never used. So there's a possibility that this is never used, but it is such an interesting patent to look at that it's almost like I hope they use it, because these are screens that can essentially communicate between each other and then communicate with multiple. So it could be two that work together, it could be three, it could be four, I guess. That's really cool. So different ways to play would kind of start to show up there. And now the other question is, would these be like sold separately so you can buy multiple screens and put them together? Or is this more along the lines of like a multiplayer thing? So if several people have like different screens, you could have like an air hockey table thing going, or who knows at that point. But this is a very, very cool looking patent, and I would hope they would do this. Now this could be the next evolution of dual screen gameplay as well. Think about it that way. So maybe if they do something with the 3DS line, again, I don't know if they will. This seems more like something they could do going forward with separate sales on maybe these don't take cartridges, maybe these have built-in games, maybe it's download only, or maybe they're just playing around with this technology for an upcoming system that they want to release. I think they are pretty much full speed ahead on the Switch as their next cartridge-based system. That doesn't mean they could release separate things as well, like just separate, you know, all-in-one type little devices and games and stuff. This is just a neat technology. I hope they use it, and I hope it's not just something they have sitting around in their patent tree that they never look at. This is just too cool to leave on the shelf. Let me know what you guys think about this patent, and if this is something Nintendo would use in a future revision of a 3DS, their next strictly handheld, or would this be something used in maybe just an all-in-one type off-the-shelf system that's not to be partnered with the Switch or go along with the Switch, just like a one-off thing. Think of like the NES Classic, Super Nintendo Classic stuff they do as all-inclusive boxes that don't have games released for them. I could see this kind of being maybe its own system that doesn't get games from third parties or anything. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft showing a very weird trailer for Game Pass. And I say weird because it includes a game that is not on Game Pass, that has not been introduced for Game Pass, and has not been hinted at all for Game Pass. And what they did was on Twitter, they shared a tweet that said, just say when, and they start handing things from the drive-thru that of course are set up for different games. They have, you know, things like Sea of Thieves, they have Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then Master Chief Collection goes by. And at first, people thought, oh, maybe they made a mistake. The tweet was still up, and they had not made any reference to the Master Chief Collection. What this seems to be, at least when I look at it, a tease towards the Master Chief Collection, because that makes a ton of sense to go to Game Pass. I've said this before. That game, when it came out, had a terrible first impression because it didn't work very well when it first came out, and then they've been working to repair it ever since then, and it seems like a big update is coming at some point. It seems to be in the wings right now. Like it's being worked on. They're asking for a ton of feedback, and they're even looking for beta testers now with the Xbox Insider program. So it does seem like the Master Chief Collection is going to have like this little resurgence here with a brand new update that's also going to target the Xbox One X for enhancements. So add it to the Game Pass, and now you have a big audience that can just jump to that game and kind of reinvigorate that player base, because it did dwindle and it's pretty low now. If you start it up and you can get in a match and everything seems to work, there's not as many people out there, obviously, as there was at launch or even months after launch. It's died down a bit. Adding it to Game Pass, where it's free to the people who have Game Pass, would surely get them into a massive collection of Halo games. So I really want them to do that. I would like to see them add it kind of the month that update comes out, which we think is coming sometime this year, maybe in the fall, maybe late summer. That would be the perfect spot to drop it on the Game Pass and be like, oh yeah, that update, it's live, go get it now. Get it on Game Pass, download the update, and join the fight, as they would say, for Halo. That would be cool. All right, now let's jump into Pokemon Switch, because this is fascinating to a lot of people. We want to see what the first home console mainline Pokemon game looks like. It makes sense. It does. Everyone wants to see what it looks like, right? We want to hear about it. And they've been silent, so of course, everyone's trying to figure it out. Every little detail that comes out, people are jumping to, and it's just fun. It is. It's fun right now, and I honestly can't wait till they reveal it. But until then, everyone's looking at all the little pieces of news, and a bunch of little pieces of news did come out over the weekend. Some stuff we should be going over, because some of it is, it's kind of sketchy, I will say that at best. So the first thing was, in Spain, there was an event. It appeared to be like a Comic-Con, and they were giving out officially branded Nintendo magazines that showed things like the Labo, stuff like that. And then it also had a passage that talked about Nintendo's first Pokemon mainline game going to consoles. Of course, that's Pokemon Switch. And this is what the translated article said. After a lifetime associated with portable consoles, the canonical Pokemon will take the leap to a table with its 8th generation. Game Freak and the Pokemon Company are rethinking the saga to surprise with new mechanics, either in 2018 or later. So some of the stuff we kind of already know. We already know about 2018 or later. They've listed that with their investors briefing, which we're going to find out more about in the next week and a half or so. They're going to release their next quarterly report, which will reflect up till this previous March, so last month. They're going to, again, probably update it as well. We might even see maybe something jump up to 2018, like a Bayonetta maybe. We'll see. But we'll also see if Pokemon is still listed as 2018 or later there. I expect it to be, because I think Pokemon is coming in 2018. Maybe they'll just get rid of that or later part. Anyway, this does list it as 2018 or later, but it also lists it as an 8th generation Pokemon game, which I think a lot of people expect, because there will be new mechanics available, right? It's going to the Switch. They're obviously going to use some new mechanics with the Switch, the Joy-Con controllers. They even talked about like co-op and stuff, right? How can we make this fun for everyone at a home console? So it's clear that it will have new mechanics, which probably will push it up to an 8th generation, since we also kind of expect them at this point to introduce new Pokemon, but who knows what's really going to happen there. There are a lot of Pokemon experts saying it could just stay with Gen 7. But the big thing here is this magazine is not always right. Okay, that's the first thing we have to remember about this magazine. It is an official Nintendo branded magazine, but they seem to have a lot of speculation that they do. For example, they talked about Ultra Sun and Moon, right? And then they said, oh, the region from Diamond and Pearl will probably make an appearance, the Sinnoh region. So that appears to be incorrect, obviously. So this magazine is not always correct, and it does seem like it reads like speculation when I look at it. So I wouldn't take this as gospel, although everything they say at least makes sense. 2018 or later, 8th generation, new mechanics. Yeah, I just wouldn't take it as confirmation. Continuing on the rumor mill, less so with an officially licensed magazine from Nintendo, Pixelpar also put up the code name for the Pokemon Switch game, which appears to be codenamed Beluga. What that actually means, I'm not sure. People, of course, are taking the code name now and trying to figure it all out. But there we go. We at least know the code name now for what it's worth. I don't really think it tells us much, but code name Beluga. Feel free to speculate down in the comments, I guess. And then finally, an image from GameStop started making the rounds showing a date for October 28th. I don't think that's correct because I think Pokemon is coming out in November, and I think GameStop is just doing their usual placeholder dates. When I worked at GameStop, dates would change on the fly. I'm not even kidding. Sometimes we would sticker it one day, and then 2 days later, the computer would print out a completely different one, and we had to change all the pre-order dates again. It happens. Trust me. They probably don't even know when it's coming out themselves. As crazy as that sounds, I feel like Nintendo is pushing hard to get this game out, and they might not even be sure if it's coming out this year. That's why it says 2018 or later, so trust me, GameStop doesn't even know. That is just a placeholder date, maybe a best guess on their part. Again, it's going to fall into November. I don't think they want it to come out 2 days after Red Dead Redemption 2 anyway. That just makes no sense for marketing or sales or anything. Take November because it'll be there for you. Next up, let's talk about the Sega Mega Drive Mini. The one they showed at the event from the Sega Fest 2018 that they had, where they did the whole presentation. It showed a Shenmue, Sega Ages, Sakura Wars, and then the Mega Drive Mini. They show it off. It looks different than what we've seen with things from AT Games, so we had this hope. We said, cool, maybe Sega is doing this. Maybe it's not AT Games. And then AT Games puts on Twitter that they are doing it, and then they deleted the tweet. But hey, here's the tweet. The rumors are true. Sega is going to release the Mega Drive Mini in Japan, powered by the latest AT Games technology. This same new and improved technology will find its way into the US and other territories later this year. So this apparently is new technology from AT Games. Well, the confidence level is low, I think, as you'd expect. They don't have a good track record, right? I mean, the last one that they did, not very good with emulation, freezing, terrible sounding music, the weird controls in the menus and everything. What they need to do is, I know some people won't like to hear this, get rid of that cartridge slot and focus on the emulation of the games that are actually on there. Don't try to make the thing work for every single Genesis game, because if people are going to do that, they'll just buy a Sega Genesis, right? Or they'll buy an older clone console or something. No, make an NES, make an SNES Mini, right? The way they do it, which is a closed off box. I can't put a Super Nintendo game in my Super Nintendo Mini. Make it like that, pick out so many games and make the emulation near perfect, or as perfect as you make it. Don't do all this weird stuff that you're trying to jam into an $80 box. It doesn't work. But AT Games, they'll probably try it. Although I will say the one they showed us does look much smaller, and it's hard to tell, but it almost looks like the cartridge slot is just a plastic cover, and maybe you can't put any games in there. I think that would actually help out and work to their benefit. But they deleted the tweet, probably because Sega didn't even want people to know that AT Games was doing this. It also does say that it is coming to other territories, something that Sega has not said as of yet. They probably wanted to test this in Japan and stuff first, and then when it looks good there, they'd bring it over. But we'll see. Either way, it's funny that they had to delete it afterwards, but hey, there you go. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Valkyria Chronicles. Not even the fourth one. Let's talk about the first one, because it looks like Sega, well, they're bringing it over to the Switch. As of now, it's only releasing in Japan from what they've said, but I do expect them to localize it outside of Japan, only because it does appear to have a discount with the pre-order of the fourth one. And of course, most of the scripting and everything is already done since it's on the PS3, Windows, and the PS4 now. But this is really neat. So if you did not play this one, it came out back in 2008 on the PS3, and then it did make its way to Windows and the PS4 eventually. But this is obviously the first game in the line of Valkyria Chronicles. Now, the fourth one, of course, is coming out later this year, and it looks pretty good, but if you missed out on it, here's where things get interesting. You notice I just said it has like a pre-order discount bonus, and that's correct. Currently, it'll cost somewhere in the neighborhood about $18.50. Of course, it has conversion between USD and yen and everything, but if you buy the first print of Valkyria Chronicles 4, you'll get a ticket that will allow you to grab Valkyria Chronicles for just $4.50. They are slashing that price massively. All of the DLC is included with that first Valkyria Chronicles, but of course right now we have no word on if it is actually leaving Japan. It's a very cool game to have portably like that. I think it's a great move because if you never played it, it's a good way to get into the series and then, take a look at 4 and everything. It's just a cool bonus to have. I mean, $4.50 for that game where it would also let you be portable, I like some of that. That's great. I do have it on PC right now. I had it on the PS3 a while ago. It's still in my Steam library, whereas my PS3 version is not with me anymore. So there you go. But cool. I would actually look at $4.50. I mean, you can't beat that, and I'm already going to get the fourth one, so tack an extra $5 on, and I'll have the first one as well on the go with the Switch. Sure, yeah, sign me up. Hopefully, Sega, you do get it out of Japan because other people want to play that game. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps out. You guys have been hitting the like button a lot, and the videos have been getting passed around more, so I do appreciate that. Of course, though, if you didn't like the video, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether you want to talk about the Nintendo patent and where you kind of see them using those screens for. Is that just them kind of playing around in the background with an idea for another system, maybe far in the future, or maybe it's just a concept they have for something different? People even said maybe cell phones. I don't know if Nintendo would ever think about getting cell phones, but I've been surprised before, so who knows there, I guess. Also, let me know what you think about all the Pokemon rumors, Valkyria Chronicles getting a port to the Switch, AT Games and Sega working together, new technology. What do you think about that with AT Games? Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.